Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made a wallpaper, but it is not this one. This actually was the first project that I tried. It was supposed to be like a space game theme, and it didn't actually end up for some reason being what I wanted. I just couldn't capture what I saw in my head. I also didn't do a rough sketch, so that could very well be why it wasn't turning out the way I wanted. But I scrapped it and ended up working on this wallpaper instead because it was way cuter. I did a rough sketch, so if you want the wallpaper or for the screens or for phones, feel free to press the join button and then go to the community tab and you can get any wallpapers that I've made so far. Big shout out to the members of the channel for the month of June. Because of you guys, I'm able to continue to make content on this channel. So thank you so much, Rochelle, Victoria, Anna4, and Max B. You guys are awesome. So without further ado, let's jump into how I made this cute froggy wallpaper. So I did start with a cube as always, and then first I made this little rough sketch. I didn't digitally make this sketch. I didn't have time this time around like I did last time because this was the second project. But I knew that I wanted to have kind of a circular background because our frog is living in a tree stump. So it took me a minute to figure out how to make that shape, and I do think I came up with a janky way, like probably not, a proper way to make that shape, but it worked out for me. And, at the end of the day, nothing is moving in my image. It would be very different if this was being animated, so I went with it. I also started making doors and a window because that is in my rough sketch. So you could kind of see the outside world to make this world of this frog more alive, and have a doorway and stuff like that. And I also wanted realistic lighting. So I did cover the tree stump like a tree stump would be. And we're kind of looking in on our little frog character. I then began to make leaves before I cut out the door and window from the tree stump. This process is pretty interesting. It's one I learned in a tutorial, and it really makes like really thick like leaves, and I think they look really nice. So I started modeling the leaf and working through that, and it was a lot of fun to get the leaves the way I wanted to get them. So it took a little bit of micro movements, but at the end of the day, they were thick the way I wanted. And I kind of made one leaf and then kept copying from that leaf and making changes as I, went along and made new leaves for different parts of the image. Like there's a pot in the window that has leaves. There's giant leaves that are supposed to be kind of hanging inside, and then there are actually like leaves, well, not leaves, but they're supposed to be kind of like tall grass on the outside. So the one leaf was just copied multiple times and changed for different scenarios, and it was just really easy to quickly use that kind of process so that I could get this done in time for the members by the 20th of every month is when I try to get the image done. So I did cut out the windows and then started the window and door, and then started working on just objects inside. I knew this time I wanted to have more objects on the inside, which even though I knew it would take longer to get the project done, I knew that it would definitely benefit from having a little bit of not clutter, but just stuff around the house. And I have to work on this. This is something I'm definitely not, even in like my sister's sim builds as an example, compared to the ones I would make, she has all this really uniquely placed clutter. It makes sense. It looks cute. And mine just looks messy. So it's something I'm learning. I added things like boots. I added little nails, like as if, I'm thinking in this world, the frog might have these little nails that like they hammer into the, tree stump from the inside and then hang like a hat or something. So I kind of started working on thinking about how this space would be used by the character and then adding things that would be there if the character was using them, and then kind of trying to make clutter that way. I want to get better at this, but this was definitely the first time I've really focused on it and paid attention to like why would this be there. So even with the shelving units, I wanted them to be curved because I wanted nothing to feel very like rough, like straight edges, like very intense rough. Everything was supposed to be kind of smooth and very relaxed, so even the shelves are curved to just make it look more cozy and relaxed instead of a very rigid. Nothing is rigid except for I think the books are the only thing in this entire image. Books that go on the shelf are just, you know, little like rectangles. Even the backpack, I wanted to keep some curvature on the edges just to make it feel, you know, it's kind of rough because it is going in the back. I didn't focus on too many details, but you know, I wanted it to, when it's colored, to stand out that there is a little backpack in the back. You know, maybe our frog grabs that when they're about to go out. Maybe it's full of all their little things that they need for their adventures. And then I continued to try and think of like other items. Like now I'm working on the hat. It was kind of, I wish I actually took more time, and this, I might do this in the next wallpaper or in a future one, taking more time to focus on why certain items are there. I made rain boots because, you know, it's not a swampy area, but there is water and stuff outside, which you'll see, because this is a little tree stump near, like, in my mind it's near like a little pond or something, you know, where like in a lot of media you'll see like frogs in that area and they have little homes and stuff. So that was kind of what I was thinking about, and I kind of wish there were more things on the inside that were related. Like I wish I did a coat hanging. I wish I did maybe more things on the floor behind the frog. You know, maybe our frog reads a lot, or maybe our frog, I don't know, just has a lot of adventures, and to see more of those adventures they've been on in the home, and like more world building essentially is what I want to work on. I think I did okay this time. It's better, it's improving, it's always improving, but these are just things in retrospect, looking back, that I think I could have done better. So I started working on the outside of the house or the home, and because no one's really seeing this, it's kind of just these circles that I overlay for grass and water and stuff. Again, keeping curves and not doing any straight edges. And then, as you can see, copied my leaf, and now my leaf is becoming long grass, kind of inspired by the fact that the frog would be quite small compared to like the human world, in this little tree stump, even living like quite small. But obviously everything has to feel quite large, so things like grass that we think would be small, kind of like grounded in the game, everything's much bigger than you because you're much smaller than the human world. It was kind of that concept in my head, so I wanted the grass to feel very large and still have that thickness that the leaves have, which is why I just used the leaves. And then I added just a little bush just to kind of add more greenery in the space, because the woods and the green I thought would have looked really calm and like really inviting. So I added a little wood table, which I actually did draw in my sketch. I pretty much followed my sketch as close as possible, almost to the T, because I find it just helps me focus on what I need to get done, and not get distracted or be like, oh, I don't know what I need to model next. You know, it keeps the feeling of the image in my head. So I did a really rough little table, like stool, not a stool, it's more like a mini table, that would have things on it. And then I worked on the lily pad. It's called lily pads, right? Lily pad carpet, which I thought was really cute because it's a frog, and I thought it'd be cute if they had this like really nice textured, we'll get to texturing, but like this really nice knitted kind of carpet to kind of tie in all these woods, and it would be like a darker green. I really wish I got to do the digital sketch, because that's where I kind of do color. I don't know if I can call it color theory, but that's where I kind of sort out the coloring of things. So I kind of just kept that in my head, and then this time didn't have enough time. Hopefully next time I'll have enough time to do a digital sketch as well. But I did make a lot of notes actually under the picture, but I cut them out so you guys didn't see them, of color palettes I wanted to stay with, and things. So now we're working on, it looks like I kind of did a lot of the wooden items at once. So we're working on, in my like test image, you can see the TV is kind of like really close to the viewer, basically, like almost in front of most of that bottom right corner. And I knew it wasn't going to work with the placing of my camera in Blender, but as long as it was close enough, so I kind of made this really nice wooden table that would hold the TV, and then I was going to add more little details all around, which is fine. Sometimes you make a little adjustments, or when you get into Blender or like the modeling, you realize it would look weird if you did it the way you drew it, or it's not the way you want, it's not translating the way you want it. So in Blender, so sometimes things change, and that's totally fine. So once I got that set, I decided it was time to work on the frog, which I did some slight sculpting for. I'm still looking for a sculpting course that goes in depth, isn't too necessarily difficult. Still trying to find, and not expensive, because sculpting courses I find are actually way more expensive than modeling courses were. So I'm waiting for sales and stuff. So yeah, at this time I didn't have a definitive, like, I didn't make a decision on how the eyes would be for the frog. So I was just kind of modeling the head, and I wanted it to look a little, not bumpy, but a little bit like that's the texture of the frog. Is that it's not clay, but you know what I mean? Like, you can tell in the final product, I liked how that looked. So that's what I was going for. And then I tried to just add kind of the smile, really simple, based on the image. Like, they're supposed to be kind of focusing on the game and having their little tongue like sticking up. And I thought that would be really cute. So I was trying to do my best to do this. This face for the frog actually does change, because I thought it just looked so weird and kind of like soulless, like how the eyes are just black. But I've seen so many really cool examples on like Pinterest, like looking at how other people modeled cute frogs, and they usually had like these little cute like black button type eyes, and I was like, oh, I'll try that. But I think I wasn't capturing that cuteness that I wanted in the character, so it ends up being the last thing I change and deal with, so we'll get there. But yeah, definitely the face was difficult, and I looked up a lot of references to kind of see like how they made the frog look so cute, but in such a simple way. A lot of really cute artworks I find are simple but very cute, or look so detailed and complex at the same time, and I really love when people capture that. So I love to just look at a lot of different examples and try and like figure out, okay, they have a lot of really cluttered items, that's really cool, and then I try to apply those concepts to my art and like find kind of my style and figure out what I want my art to look like. So I'm still doing that. And so I noticed a lot of the cute frogs had these cute little faces, and mine didn't end up the same, but that's okay, because what we came up with at the end I think worked great. So I actually followed a tutorial for this shoe. Shoes are something that you guys have noticed, probably I do the same every time. They're very basic when I do them, but they don't look very good. So this was a very basic shoe. I think it's Keelan John is the name of the channel. I'll leave the link down below for like any asset or texture assets I use, and like tutorials I used for this specific video. And this actually tutorial is great. I think I will keep using this to make shoes, because I think the shoes look really good. And it wasn't too difficult. It's definitely something I'm gonna have to keep watching that tutorial a few times before kind of it all sticks. There's just so many processes that I, since my brain injury, get quite confused or forget things. So I do have to watch tutorials a lot or reference them a lot, because I just can't seem to remember everything, which is fine. Just it's making sure I save those videos in a playlist so I can always come back and like look for what I don't remember. So yeah, they're super cute, and it's kind of like a real shoe, how they're broken up, the way you model it. So that was a cool learning thing for me. And then I was like, deciding how the gaming chair would be. I didn't really think about it, and then it kind of clicked, like when I put the frog into it almost looks like a diorama, but put the frog into the home, I realized that I wanted to keep these warm woods and the colors of the greens and stuff, and I decided, what logically would you see like a frog living in a tree stump have as a chair? Like they're not gonna have metals and stuff. So I came up with a leaf kind of tree chair that maybe the frog made themselves because they needed a really comfortable chair to play their I think they're playing an Atari as the console I decided to have them playing on. And in my head it's like an Atari 2600 because that's the one I had, but I was like, they need something comfortable and they could make this themselves. So it's just very simply laid out. I didn't even do places where the wood intersects, like having ties. I was going to do that, like little like ties maybe they did to tie everything together, but I decided from the camera angle you're not even going to see it, so I didn't add in that detail. I'm learning a lot, like, and a lot of modelers have said this in this 3D space, that if you don't see it, you don't necessarily need to make it. It puts weight on your computer and the program, and no one's going to see it anyway. So that's something I'm learning. So it worked out doing the chair that way. And then we finally, move the legs, do some adjustments so the image looks closer to my reference image. And I thought I was really proud. I was nervous actually for getting the legs to bend and have the frog in a sitting position, but the way I modeled the frog in different pieces worked out really well. So that was really nice. So I did actually not show you guys because it took a long time. Modeled a bunch of little things, and they're all in the background, so you'll see them as we color them. But as you can see, I started doing wood flooring, doing the texture or the coloring of the greenery and leaves through the window and door that can be seen. I've added a light, so there was kind of this light source on the inside. I made the world light, and this is something I've learned recently, which some people on Instagram, some really cool creators were like talking about how they do their lighting. They lighten up the whole world. It's kind of this default dark gray like you saw. They'll lighten it up kind of like what the world light would be, and then add in all their different lighting sources. So this is the first time I've tried that, and I think the lighting ended up pretty good compared to things I've done before. So that was a really cool thing. Like, we're already seeing, like, through the door and window right now, the light coming through kind of naturally, which is really great. So I just kept adding different woods and going through the texturing. Adding textures is my favorite part because I feel like it just starts to really bring to life your creation, and it really just looks so cool. And I love these textures. Again, I talked about them in my last video. They're the Crafty Asset texture pack asset pack from Southern Shoddy, I believe is the name of the creator. It's super helpful as a beginner to not only see how these textures were set up or made, but to be able to use them and even make adjustments is so helpful for me in learning about texturing. It's going to take a long time. It's, people say you can't really be good at everything. Some things you're good at animation, you're good at modeling, you're good at sculpting, you're good at texturing, and then those other things you kind of build up. I don't know what the one thing I'm good at is yet. I'm still learning a lot all the time. But yeah, I love just adding color. Like, it just brings the whole thing to life, and it's so cool seeing it that way. So I added little ladybugs everywhere. I added a lot of stuff, as you can see in the background now, plants, books, little wooden knickknacks, stuff like that. So I decided to do the clothing of the frog next, as you can see, and at this point I was still like, wow, the eyes look so dead for this frog. So I started thinking of adding these real eyes from Teeny Eye. And then that did not, I thought that would look terrifying. So I thought, forget the eyes, I'll deal with the face after. Let's just get the clothing and all the texturing inside done. So you can see I jumped right back to giving sleeves, and then kind of adjusted the face just a little bit, and then moved on to little knickknacks in the background. A lot of acorns were placed, and I thought the acorns just made such a difference in the clutter. It wasn't overly cluttered, but thinking about these really miniature, I don't know where they'd get these from in this world. Acorns would probably be kind of big, but just these mini acorns would be so cute to have everywhere. There's little wooden ducks on the shelf. I wanted to actually add pictures, and I didn't get a chance. I ran out of time to add like little picture frames hanging. So I did want to do that. The lighting actually also was done a little differently. I actually added lights on either side of the frog to kind of like mimic lights bouncing off the floor, and make it really bright, and it worked out really well. And then I almost forgot, because I wasn't sure what console I wanted the frog to be playing. I was going to do GameCube, but I thought the Atari was just kind of, I don't know, I thought it was really classic and a nice throwback to the first console I ever owned was an Atari 2600. So yeah, I thought that would be pretty cool to like add this in. And I did the cord, and I didn't do the actual console because again, you don't see that, but having the cord there as if it's plugged in, and the whole thing really came together. And I started doing just some minor adjustments with the hands. I did a few more lighting adjustments. The acorns, some of them were like in the carpet, they were a little too deep in the carpet, so I had to lift those. And then we're at the eyes here, where I decided just to give the frog pupils, and then changing the like giving it whites in its eyes. It worked really well, and it looks really cute. So there's the screen and phone wallpapers. Again, if you want it, you can become a member and support the channel in that way. But I appreciate you guys watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys for the next one.